The modern education system is great at one thing, and that is training people to be replaceable. This was a realization I had before I went to college because I knew going in and when making the decision to actually go to college that I was going to have a specific set of skills and knowledge that would put me into or make me able to get a job within the workforce. That is what college is for. College is there to train you into a job that already exists in the workforce. And now if you understand that new jobs are being created all the time, especially in the digital economy, you see people doing the weirdest things and really doing whatever they want as long as they can attract an audience and understand how to write good content. So this gave me two options, right? Because I was going to go to college, but what happened after I went to college? So I could either climb the corporate ladder and use the skills that I've developed, whether it be at college or not, to help that other person achieve their dreams. Or option number two, I could create my own ladder as opposed to the corporate ladder that's already set out for you, use my skills to build a business or build anything for that matter in less time than it would take to get to a specific dollar amount in the corporate world. And I could sacrifice my free time while working one of those jobs or just while in college and use that free time to build something instead of the other option, which is to just distract myself and do all of the shit that college students do, which I did. But the thing is that I prioritized time and set aside time blocks to actually build out projects that would lead to a better future rather than just giving up early and hoping that I get a job that I could potentially be replaced for. Hey bud, I know you're super cute and I want you to play, but there's a video going on. I have to film. Now I'm being a bit dramatic here because I've been self-employed for 3 to 4 years now. I've been doing my own thing during that time, and so I feel like a lot of self-employed people are just out of touch with how culture or society is unless they're just keeping up with it in the news or other things. But I would argue that they value the self-reliance and self-sovereignty of not doing those things. So it's like, yeah, I'm being a bit dramatic. College isn't that bad. I have my own views. I would go to college again. I would get a job again to have cash flow to invest in my business. But I'm just painting a picture here of how college trains you to be replaceable. That is a fact. That is a given. But that's the thing. With self-employment, it's pretty much, from what I've seen, it is the key to the good life. I feel like that is the only option, right? If you want to be in full control of your time, full control over the things you work on, pursuing an intrinsic hierarchy of goals, which is scientifically backed as a way of living a high quality of life, as opposed to an external hierarchy of goals that is set for you. Other people giving you goals and tasks on a daily basis to do that you don't have any control over or autonomy to actually fit those into your schedule and choose what you want to do. So in my eyes, the human psyche, general health, and the basic need, it's a basic need for self-actualization, is just pushed under the rug for the sake of building these insanely large corporate monoliths that you are trained to work for the sake of having a comfortable life. So how do you prevent or how do you escape this reality and kind of shift into a point where you can start doing what you want? Well, one, the internet has leveled the playing field, okay? And what I mean by this is that anyone can post online. And everyone does post online, but I would argue that they don't do it mindfully. And I'm not talking in a business sense here. You don't only post content because you have a business. You post content to attract opportunities. People or employers are hiring people based on their public portfolio that they're building. Let's say you have a design page. Let's say you write about just your interests in general. You write about philosophy and someone hires you to write for their philosophy blog. Right? It's more than just starting your own business. It's the world having and opening up the playing field for every single person to display their value on the open market and get hired accordingly if they understand the game or they choose to understand the game. It is the simplest mindset shift in the world where you go from consumer to creator, right? You start being mindful about what you're putting out online and the impact it's going to have and what it is going to attract to you. And so my favorite way of doing this, of course, is just starting a personal brand, right? Start posting about your interests. Start writing about the things that you want to write about, but you think you have to start a business in order to start writing about them and eventually have to monetize it, when that's just not the case. You practice your skill set in public because that is what is going to help you the most. You write in a public setting to see whether or not that writing is determined as good by either the algorithm or other people or other things like that. Are you actually able to play the game that will lead to more opportunities? And that's aside the point of having to learn how to market yourself and make yourself perceived as a valuable person. So if you create a profile picture, you have to learn a specific set of design skills. If you want to create a banner, same story. If you want to create an Instagram post, if you want to create a YouTube video, you are forced to learn these skills in order to get your word out there and to actually compete in the open market of opportunities. So think of it. The way that we used to learn is that we would learn from our parents or teachers or just the people around us. We would learn through experience. We would touch fire and we would get burnt and we would understand, okay, I shouldn't touch fire. And then you go and you screw up somewhere else, you fail or you struggle, and you learn the lesson that that failure taught you, and you continue doing that over and over. Now, while most people are online simply for the sake of outsourcing their decision making, meaning if someone gives you advice online or you see a meme that kind of pigeonholes one perspective into a place where you don't like that perspective and you close your mind off to it, then you're just limiting yourself and you are quite literally living someone else's lives. You are having people feed you your own way of thinking, and then you go about life doing that, rather than you choosing and being conscious of all of these things and learning per your curiosity and your intuition and through failure and iteration, rather than being graded on performance in school and having people pretty much tell you what to do, so that you get into this mindset of everything is going to be given to me if I put in this baseline amount of effort. It's not good for you. So the new education system has been coming for a long time. I like to look at this stuff under like an evolutionary lens, right? Because when you zoom out and you observe the cosmos, there's a lot of bad things happening, but that's what reality is. There is bad, there is good. That's how we perceive it from our perspective, and that's how we understand it. But when you look at things like the creator economy, or a bunch of creators coming up, or people posting online more, it's kind of, and them giving out valuable information that schools don't teach, you can start to see that there is a new education system forming. Whether the government calls it the education system or not, it can become your education system to get the unpredictable or uncertain or unordinary results that do not come from pursuing the certain, the comfortable, and the predictable route, right? That is not how our mind works. That is not how our mind thrives. So self-education is the answer to this whole new education system, but how do you actually start learning, and how do you start creating a better life for yourself, or how do you get what you want out of life without relying on the societal constructs or other things that are clearly not going to lead you to the life that you want? So let me throw up a visual, as I always do, of the new education system. And we're going to walk through these as 5 steps to take your education into your own hands, or to self-educate in a way that will lead to the future that you want to create for yourself. So look at this graph, look over it. You have values, visions, goals at top, curiosities under that, and then focus or understand this visual as I go through these 5 steps, because we've entered a new Renaissance era. We've gone back to 5th century BC. Now, what does that mean? It means there is an abundance of information, ideas, opportunities, new career paths to take, and it makes people very uncertain. Not to mention that we are pairing that with the decrease in trust in said school system, in particular ideologies or religions or dogma. We are losing trust in a lot of these things, and it leaves so many people uncertain, anxious, overwhelmed, not knowing what to do with their life. And so it's very clear, the answer is very clear. What you need to do is you need to take matters into your own hands. I was actually watching a movie the other day, or yesterday, Divergent, which I watched when I was like younger. But it's very interesting because there's the 4 factions that everyone is expected to conform to. Then there is the one divergent, where when they find out that she's a divergent, the person that finds out, she asks her and is like, well, what I'm supposed to do? I need to belong to one of these factions. And she says, well, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. And that is the entire lesson here, is stop outsourcing every single aspect of your life. You have to sit down, you have to strategize, you have to create the value system and belief system for yourself that is going to be the most conducive to the future that you want. This was Buddha's teachings. This was, in general, people that don't subscribe to a particular ideology, or even true skeptics, not modern skeptics, but the past skeptics, I forget their actual name. But it's pretty much question everything, create a value system for yourself. I mean, you see this in self-help books all the time with like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. They are all saying this thing. So if you are uncertain or anxious or just questioning the system, so to say, then you need to take matters into your own hands. And so these are the 5 steps to do it. Number 1 is to know thyself. And I will read a tweet of mine that I feel like illustrates this well. If you don't know what you want, understand what you don't want and work in the opposite direction. Because we're talking about these things where it's like create your own value system, do this, do that. And you may not know, you may not be crystal clear on the things that you want in life. So my best advice is to create kind of like a soft anchor or a visualization. So vision for your future, goals in order to get there, and tasks that you can start acting on right now. I've said this time and time again, use my power planner, link in the description if you want a free way of structuring this. But those don't have to be crystal clear. Those refine and they iterate over time. So your job right now is to take out a pen and paper, write out exactly what you think you want out of life. And you are going to work towards that every day and change it as you figure out what you don't want, right? That is the entire thing. You figure out what you want by pursuing what you think you want, realizing that you don't want that, and then moving in a new direction that is still forward. So number 2 is to pursue your curiosity. Now, the purpose of pursuing your curiosity is, 1, to inform yourself or gain knowledge, but we all know that knowledge is useless unless applied. So the purpose of pursuing your curiosity is to eventually develop a skill stack that you can use to move forward in this world and open up potential job opportunities, money-making opportunities, network opportunities, just meeting people and like doing what you want to do with your life. So when you are pursuing your curiosity and learning the things that you want to learn so you can practice them, it's not like you just want to learn something so you do nothing with it. It's like you learn something so you can use it, right? So when you're doing these things, you need to look for potential creativity, potential enjoyability, and potential utility, right? Because 1, utility, it has to have some form of utility right now, right? Whether or not it has utility and use cases and potential monetization in the future, that if you're okay with that, fine. But if you are not able to monetize it right now in this day and age, then you're not going to be able to pivot down the road. You're not even going to be able to get started. So the second thing, potential creativity, is that manual labor jobs are replaceable. Manual labor jobs are not scalable. They are not leverageable. You are not building anything. You are trading time for money, and that is all. You are not posting online per se, which is you're spending a certain amount of time posting a digital asset that's going to be up for years and years and years and years, and your ideas are going to refine and compound, and your leverage is going to build with the audience that you grow over those years. That is creativity. So that's something you have to keep an eye out for, is whether or not it can be replaced, how easy it can be replaced, and whether or not it's just a consistent cycle of time, money, time, money, time, money. So pay attention to that. And then the third thing is potential enjoyability, which is really up to you. That is how you perceive what you are doing on a day-to-day basis, and your perspective and mindset surrounding those things. And usually if you are pursuing your curiosity, that should fall into place. You should find enjoyment in doing that. That's one thing to look out for. So number 3 is to start a personal project. Now, another tweet of mine, you can read books and listen to advice all day long, but it means nothing unless you apply and experience those teachings. Projects in themselves are powerful. Projects are the way to get out of tutorial hell. So if you are learning web design or photography or writing, then you need to start a project. And now project has its own connotation. You may start forming a picture in your mind of what you think a project is, but a project is just a way of applying what you learn to the real world. So if it's writing, you write a blog post, you write a newsletter, you write a tweet, you write a thread, you write an Instagram post. Yes, that's writing. You write a script for a reel, for a YouTube video, and you start actually producing, right? From creator or consumer to creator mindset, you have to produce. You have to build in the real world. I was talking about this on the most recent podcast, where you can only process so much conscious information in your lifetime, right? And the amount of information that you process over time is like your XP bar in life, okay? Because, stick with me, when you pay attention to something and you process that information, you are limited to what you can perceive and what you are aware of at that time. So the example that I give is you cannot grow or scale a business if you have not started the business yet. You cannot use and apply the teachings of scaling and using all these tactics, hacks, and strategies of scaling and growing a business if you haven't fucking started the business yet. You have to operate within like your bubble of awareness and slowly branch out into the discomfort and the unknown. And then it's like a light. When you're holding a candle, you can only see so far in a dark room. But as you move forward through that room, you're exposed to new opportunities, new paths to take, new ideas, all of these other things. But it all starts from where you are right now and moving one step at a time. And that is how you do it with projects. So number 4 is seek specific knowledge. And yet another tweet: fail, then learn, act, then ask, move, then steer. A tank full of gas, directions on the map, and hands on the wheel is nothing but wishful thinking if your foot is off the pedal. Because building a project, so from the last step, you're taking real world actions on the curiosities you're pursuing and the things that you were learning, right? From creators, from free education online, from courses, from things that will teach you how to do what you think you want to do until you learn what you don't want to do so you can move towards what you actually want to do. And so with seeking specific knowledge, it's the same as what I just said, where if you aren't growing or scaling a business yet, don't learn about that. If you are starting a business, learn about that as you are starting the business. Because here's the thing. You can learn about like scaling and all this shit all day long, but if you never get to that point, then all of that time was wasted. So what you're going to do is you're going to move with the information that you have and the clarity that you have to get to step 1. And then once you hit a wall or then you struggle, then you start asking questions. Then you start looking up specific knowledge. So an example is if I want to create a better profile picture for myself or a better design, right? I'm going to start the design with what I know, and then I'm going to hit a wall. It's like, I don't know how to change this color from like blue to teal. And so you look that up. You Google search. Maybe it'll take 10 searches to find the answer. But then you find it and you follow through and you learn, and that is going to solidify that teaching so much faster in your brain. And then you learned how to do it. And then the next step, you hit a wall, you struggle, and then you try to find the answer. And then maybe sometimes you don't find it, and then you have to rest and let the default mode network of your brain kick into play, and then your subconscious gives you the idea, like when a programmer hits a bug and he's trying to solve that bug for like hours upon hours, and he gets frustrated, he gives up, and then when he's walking around the next day just resting, doing whatever he wants, the solution to the bug comes to his mind. He goes back to his computer, types it out, and it works, right? So that's what you have to do. You have to struggle. That's the entire purpose of all of this. You learn through struggle. You are refined through struggle, like in a sauna, right? What happens is, do you go into the sauna expecting it to be hot? I mean, yes. Do you go, like, do you complain that a sauna is hot? Do you complain that you are struggling to battle with this heat? Are you complaining that, or are you accepting that the sauna is going to be hot and it serves a purpose? It has an intention to make your life better. That's what all of this is. That's what struggle is when it is perceived correctly. Challenge. If it helps you think of it better that way, challenge. Take on more challenges and learn through that challenge. But your skill has to match. If your skill does not match the challenge, you're going to get anxious. If your skill is too low for the challenge, you're going to get bored. So that is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, his flow model, right? It's a flow channel where that is when you have the optimal experience. That's when your neurochemistry is doing its thing. And step number 5 is to take your project public, right? We've already talked about writing in public and posting online and doing this stuff, but you can start a passion project or a hobby project without doing it in public to practice your skills in a real world situation that you kind of create for yourself. And so here's a quote from Archimedes: is give me a place to stand and a lever long enough and I will move the world. So we've talked about leverage earlier, but the internet has opened up so much room for individuals, for creators to build leverage, right? There's a quote from Naval where it's like, the internet opened up the potential for 8 billion monopolies, right? So 8 billion, one person each, having their own business, their own skill set, and having like an irreplaceable skill set based off of curiosity. So you can build leverage around your skills and educate people and build an audience by building your own website with no-code tools that used to take thousands of dollars and a programmer to create for you, and now you can go click a button and you have a website, right? I don't think you see the opportunity here and how simple it can be. And so the next thing is just writing and educating people on social media that are one step behind you, right? If you are learning something according to your curiosity, that means that someone is interested in that information, but it may not align with them because they're reading it from someone who they have no interest in reading it from. So that's when you come in, you pass down that information under your own unique lens and experience, and you help the person that is one step behind you, because that is where they are going to learn the most, as we've learned here. If you talk about scaling a business, you have to target people that already have a business. If you're talking about starting a business, then you have to talk about people that have not started a business. So step by step, stages. And that's why saturation will never be a thing in the creator economy, is because people evolve, right? It's the one person business is an extension of yourself. So you evolve. Once you get to the point of like, okay, I started this business, saw some success, you pass down what you learn, and then you go to the next step where it's, I'm scaling my business, here's what I learned, or you can do whatever you want. I've transitioned out of client work. I've transitioned out of consulting. All of those offers that made me a lot of money, I am no longer selling those things, and I have opened up room for people to come in and sell those things. If I wanted to do coaching again, which I don't, is I could teach people the offers that I had and how to do that and how to sell and how to make an income doing that and give them everything I did. Then I passed down a great job opportunity for people. I, in essence, created a job. So in terms of building your project in public, that's how you build leverage. That's how you actually attract people to your work. Because in business, you need value, a project, a valuable project, and you need people. Because if you don't have one or the other, if you don't have people to pay for your project, or you don't have a project for people to see, then you're not going to make money, which is in the middle. So that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe. You can listen to the podcast at the CoCast on any listening platform. If you're listening to this from the podcast, leave a rating, leave a review. Check out the 2-hour writer course, which is my content ecosystem, my content strategies, and the fundamentals of high impact digital writing. There's also the community, Modern Mastery, which goes over business strategies, performance strategies, social media growth roadmaps, and like literally way too much to list. You can join for $5, link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.